good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Fur Buddy Builds. All right, let's take a look at re-weathering this now that we've put a fresh coat on it. Welcome everybody. Appreciate you watching my content. So I've got a reference image that I'm going by. Found that these Zeros had quite a bit of paint wear, but as you saw from the previous video, my first attempt at this actually took off far too much paint, and then in that video I showed how to fix that by recoating it. So we're picking it from there. Let's go ahead and remove the masking tape, and basically the tail art is a representation to match the box art on the Airfix kit. And here we're just using the appropriate color to paint the underside. And this is actual primer. Let's go ahead and outline the panel lines with this AK dark aluminum, and we'll do additional post shading as well on this. But the panel lines outlined with the pencil, I find, is just adds a little bit more depth. I really like these AK pencils. Looking pretty good. All right, now we're ready for the final color. And we'll come back and clean that up with a brush. My airbrushing skills are not perfect, so look at there's Sadie. Let's go ahead and smash that like button. It sure would help our channel grow. I appreciate it. We're putting in quite a bit of work here. Yeah, here we go. We're going to clean up the lines. Putting in work, creating content, trying to grow, make our content better, make our videos better. So likes, comments, subscribes. Let us know how we're doing. What do I need to improve on? How can I make better content for you to watch? It's my goal to produce high quality content. What I'm doing here is washing the surface with water just to feather out the edge. This is white pin wash. And I do this to my dark colors to create an oxidized paint look. When this dries, I just really haven't found anything that does a better job of creating this oxidized look like what you see on the plane there. Now I'm pre-draining the linseed oils out of these oil paints here by putting them on a piece of cardboard. Let that set for at least an hour. Sometimes I let it set overnight. In the meantime, we're going to do some sponge weathering. So I just have a piece of sponge and a spring pair of tweezers. We're going to just lightly dab on and create the effects that match the image that we showed earlier. All right, so we're going to do a light pin wash of some sandy color. This is, after all, a navy version of this plane. I'm going to clean it up with just some clear mineral spirits and just kind of work back and forth. And we will do an additional pin wash on top of this. I want a variation of color. And the reference images I looked at, I could tell that there was a fair bit of variation in color on this weathering, and that's what our goal is. Again, we're just kind of washing this off, letting a little bit stay behind. And before I did this pin wash, I did actually spray it with a light coat of gloss varnish. Did not show that in this video, but that light coat of gloss varnish protected the pencil lines that we put in earlier, and additionally allows that pin wash to flow a little smoother. All right, so now we're ready to add a slight green pin wash to this. Look at there, that's Mr. Newton, our 10-year-old puppy dog, and he would sure love a subscribe from y'all. You can always unsubscribe later, but subscribing now would sure help our channel grow, and you'll get to see all kinds of new content. And I am getting better. I'm very committed to getting better and better with each video. Here we go. We're washing the model down with just a very lightly tinted version of the thinner. We have a mistake here. When I applied this, I usually thinned it down, and I kind of forgot because I was making the video. And so we had to wipe that off with white spirits. And I came came back and toned it down quite a bit. That's looking pretty good, and it looks really good when it dries. So now we're ready to go to our flat finish. So this is Vallejo Ultra Flat Varnish. Get both sides coated here. And we'll go ahead and put the meatballs on. I watched a lot of Black Sheep Squadron before I made this in a F4U Corsair that I have. And I never understood why they called him a meatball. Apparently I must have missed it in the show, but in doing research to build this kit here, I found that it has to do with the red dots, and I felt really silly, but I'll share that for a little bit of light humor. And I'm not going to show you how I put on every decal, just give you the idea that I go between setting and solvent. So this is after I put a fair bit of solvent, actually 3 coats on, to get the decals to really blend in, and I'm coming back and adding some weathering on top of the decals. And we'll get that cleaned up, and again I'm kind of adding a variation of color between the sandy and the white and blue. In this case it's just going to be sandy on the bottom, and we'll tone that down with some just clear white spirits. Get that cleaned up, create a random effect. That's what we're after, is just a random effect. Once that gets looking pretty good, we'll go ahead and add a little bit of streaking grime over the top of those to match the rest of the plane. And here I'm just flecking just a little bit of aluminum, and it actually got too much. The flecks of aluminum just basically, again, are to match the reference image. So because I got too much, I'm going to wipe some off quickly before it dries. So I just used a wet brush, got it wet, wiped it down with a paper towel to turn it back. And we'll put another coat of varnish in. So I like to lock in my layers with a coat of varnish. Once I'm happy with the layer, I lock it in with another layer of varnish. All right, this here is just black primer, and I'm painting the tail hook with primer and the rear landing gear with primer. This is the prop, and basically I'm priming it. I will put some white paint on it. Same is true for the pilot. So we'll do the black primer, spray them with white paint, and then we'll go ahead and paint them out. So cleaning up the canopy here. This part here, I showed it because I want to show my mistakes. So I attempted to make a mask doing this. In hindsight, I would have just painted this direct. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you that part. I did leave parts of the mask on that turned out well, but the rest that didn't, I just let it go. So I'm starting off by painting the canopy with silver, and that is because I intend to use weathering effects on this. And I'm going to try a new technique, and I'll give you a little heads up, it doesn't work. Lessons learned, right? So the silver is looking pretty good. Now we're going to apply just some weathering solution over the top of that. This part here is fine, and we're going to paint it with some Tamiya green, the same color that the rest of the plane is painted with. I've only been doing models again for about a year, and I guess there's like pre-made masks out there I've been reading about and seen in a couple places. I've yet to try that. Actually, the next kit that I'm building, it comes with the pre-mask kits as part of the kit, so I'm a little anxious to try that because I think that'll look pretty nice. So what I did there is I used a toothbrush to clean that with, and it stripped off too much. That was my new technique, and I definitely didn't like it, but came back and I added some appropriate weathering, and in the end that ends up looking really nice. So don't use a toothbrush to remove your, when they say stiff brush, they don't mean toothbrush stiff. Okay, here we're painting our mid-tone for the pilot. So it's kind of a tan uniform, and then I'm just layering on coats. I'm going to go ahead and paint the mid-tone for his vest. Get that knocked out. I spent probably 45 minutes to an hour on this pilot, I'm guessing. Obviously, I've got that condensed down. So it looked to me like he had a collar or a jacket on underneath that would have been, again, reference images. Part of those actually looked like the collar was red, so I did go ahead and add some just red shades into that later. You'll see that's why I have the red out. And now we're going to outline the goggles with black. Hey, there's Sadie again. Why don't you go ahead and smash us a like if you've made it this far. We sure appreciate the support of our content. It really does mean the world to us, and it'll help me keep improving and help providing better content. So the boots, they also had some red shades in them, so that's why we've got the red out. And when this dries, it looks pretty good. Now we've got about 4 different shades of different khaki tans, and we're going to mix those together, create the appropriate looks, layer on the face. Of course, we painted the silk scarf white. Get some flesh tones mixed in here. I'm going to come back with, touch that up. And then I'm going to put some highlights on the jacket with a brighter green. So the high spots I'm just hitting with that. And then did the same with the other with the yellow. Just creating some contrast so that when you view this guy through the cockpit glass, there we go. There we have it. When you view it through the cockpit glass, he'll look fine. I acknowledge that his face is definitely not the best face I've ever painted, but I'm pretty happy with how he looks overall. Again, I'm trying to create a pretty high contrast look so that when you look at him through the cockpit, he looks pretty good. So that's mission accomplished, actually. So again, painting the prop white, then I'm going to paint it silver. There's a little bit of drying time, a bit of cut between that. So these wings would have had yellow leading edges, at least according to the box art, but yet I did quite a bit of wear. So I came back with the sponge to apply this in areas that didn't have the wing edges cleaned off. And I painted the area behind the canopy black. It looked to me, I saw some that were black and some that were painted the same color as the plane itself, so in this case I went with black. And here I'm just checking to make sure I have the prop on straight. And we'll go ahead and glue in the tail hook and glue in the rear landing gear, and then we'll go paint them in the model, weather them with them looking like they belong. I do hope you enjoy the content and that you'll comment, give us any feedback. So there's the plane that we're going for. Try to remember that. Here's our output. Very happy with how this has turned out. Looks really good. My first 1/72nd scale model. My first AirFix kit. Again, just a reminder what we're going for weathering. When we look at that canopy, it matches very close on the sides. Some artistic measures taken with the exact locations of the weathering, but overall it looks pretty good. Appreciate you watching, appreciate your time. Really enjoyed doing this work with y'all. Thanks for watching Fur Buddy Builds. Be sure to click the link for the previous video in this series, or the next link for the next video in the series.